All men should watch this. Women do not want you to see this video. Modern Stoic. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Oscar Wilde. There are certain insights that don't cause harm, but they do cause discomfort, not because they are cruel, but because they illuminate quiet patterns that have long gone unnoticed in relationships. When I first mentioned the concept of this video to a few women I deeply respect, some friends, some past partners, their reactions were strikingly consistent. Not angry, not offended, just cautious. They gently urged me not to release it, not out of malice, but because they sensed something truthful here, something that might shift how men see the unspoken dynamics beneath love, attraction, and silence. This isn't about resentment. It's not about tactics or tricks. It's about clarity. It's about understanding a kind of emotional language most men were never taught to read. Behind the unanswered texts, behind the sudden distance, behind the warmth that fades without explanation, there are instincts at work, psychological reflexes shaped by biology, experience, and culture. They're rarely conscious, but they're powerful. At Modern Stoic, we don't look away from discomfort. We lean into it. Because discomfort often signals growth. Understanding emotional strategy. In today's episode, we're pulling back the curtain on a few foundational truths. We'll talk about the quiet but powerful force of strategic silence, the subtle yet profound use of emotional reflection, and how women often build internal hierarchies in ways that can leave men feeling unseen or uncertain. These are not games. They're forms of self-protection, learned behaviors passed down through social and emotional evolution. If you've ever found yourself asking, why did that connection feel so real, only to vanish, or what changed? And why didn't I see it coming? Then this message is for you. Stay with me until the end. Because what you'll learn today might not just shift your understanding of women. It might help you understand yourself in a way you never have before. Number 1, the secret ranking system. There's a hidden system women use to rank men. Quiet, instinctual, and brutally honest. It's not written in any manual, not taught in school, and certainly not something she'll confess over dinner. But make no mistake, it exists, and it guides her every move. You won't hear her speak of it directly, but she lives by it. It isn't built on resumes, cars, or six-pack abs. It's built on something far deeper. Emotional strength, presence, a man's internal rhythm. This isn't about manipulation, it's about protection. Every woman, consciously or not, is preserving her emotional space. And the ones who rise to the top of this secret ladder aren't the loudest, richest, or flashiest. They're the ones who exude calm certainty, who knows who they are and don't need to explain it. These men embody the essence of the modern Stoic. They don't seek approval because they've already approved of themselves. They don't contort to win attention because their mere presence commands it. He's the man who walks into a room, says little, but shifts the energy. The one she introduces to her friends before even realizing why. The one she listens to without skepticism. The one who doesn't chase. Because what he offers is far more valuable than validation. He offers grounding. At the top of her internal hierarchy is the man who makes her feel safe, not with promises, but with presence, not with control, but with composure. He is the living blessing of Stoicism. He doesn't perform masculinity, he simply is. Below him, the men who are enjoyable but temporary. They're the ones who text her memes, make her laugh, take her out for drinks, and sure, she smiles. But deep down, she knows this is a moment, not a meaning. She's not planning the future with them. She's passing time. They receive flashes of attention, quick replies, and casual affection, but never her soul. Go lower still, and you find the accommodating types. The ones who orbit endlessly, hoping their patience will pay off. They're sweet, they're available, but they are not felt. She may keep them around like a backup plan or a polite memory, but never as the main story. These men are tolerated, not treasured. And then there are the ones she distances herself from. The ones who push too hard, talk too much, need too often. These men become burdens, not blessings. Every conversation becomes work. Every interaction feels like a debt. She pulls away, not to be cruel, but because her nervous system is telling her this isn't safe, this isn't strength, this isn't it. Here's the truth. Her ranking system is fluid. A man can rise, a man can fall. No crown is fixed. You might be her top choice today, and tomorrow, just another name in her inbox. The man who was once magnetic can become repellent the moment he starts seeking validation, over-explaining his feelings or begging for closeness. On the flip side, a quiet man in the corner, patient, thoughtful, unshaken, can slowly climb without uttering a single word. That's the beauty of the old Stoic archetype. He's not in a rush. He's not performing. He doesn't need to prove himself. He knows his value, and that silent certainty is what pulls her closer. Day by day, every moment with her is a subtle test. Not a game, not manipulation, but a calibration. Do you bring peace or noise? Do you inspire or confuse? Are you present or are you performing? She watches everything, not just how you speak, but how you listen. Not just what you do when things are easy, but how you behave when they're not. And her emotional response to you, her openness, her warmth, her trust, that is your ranking. Don't ignore the signs. If she takes longer to reply, if her eyes don't linger, if her invitation's slow, she's telling you everything without a single word. Don't call it mixed signals when it's really a quiet goodbye. Don't assume proximity equals priority. You can be next to her and still mean nothing. And don't ever confuse her tolerance for interest. This isn't about gaming her psychology or memorizing tricks. It's about becoming a man who naturally rises because he's rooted in himself. Be still. Be strong. Be honest. Be the man who doesn't flinch when faced with silence, who doesn't collapse under rejection, who doesn't inflate under praise. Be the man whose life already feels full, with or without her. Because that man, the modern Stoic, never needs to ask where he stands. She will show him. With every glance, every word, every small act of devotion, she tells the truth. The man she respects the most is the one who never begged for it. And once you embody that energy, you don't rise in her system. You transcend it. Number 2, the psychology of sexual gatekeeping across generations and geographies. You need to hear this, not because it's new, but because it's hidden in plain sight. Female sexuality across generations and across cultures hasn't just happened. It's been shaped, pressed, molded, sculpted like marble under the hands of culture, fear, and expectation. A woman doesn't simply learn her sexuality, she inherits its rules. Her desire doesn't bloom in freedom, it grows through fences, invisible ones. She learns early that her body has power, but that power comes with scrutiny. She learns that attraction can be dangerous, that too much interest invites judgment. That desire, in her world, is a game with high stakes and vague rules. And so, she adapts. She builds Greta quietly, reflexively. What looks like hesitation on the outside is actually architecture on the inside. an emotional defense system, old and elegant, formed not from distrust of you, but from decades and centuries of needing to protect herself from the world. Her moves aren't always conscious. Her delays aren't scripted, but they are patterned deeply. A girl becomes a woman and carries this psychological armor whether she wants to or not. It's not manipulation, it's legacy. And if you're a man trying to understand why she backs away even when the chemistry is real, listen closely. You are not reading a romantic mystery. You are witnessing a social survival system in action. That system has a name: sexual gatekeeping. And no, it's not about playing hard to get. It's not about teasing or testing for sport, because it's about preservation, control, protection. Women, especially those raised in cultures where reputation weighs more than truth, learn early that their yes carries more consequence than any man's yes ever will. And so, their instinct becomes delayed. Observe, test, confirm. Because in her world, desire is not an invitation, it's an exposure. And exposure has always come at a cost. Now, don't misread this. She may want you. She may even crave closeness. But desire alone doesn't grant access. In fact, sometimes desire is why she pulls back. Because she knows that once her emotions step forward, the risk becomes real. And the stronger the pull, the harder the protection. This is where men often misunderstand her. She's not saying no to you, she's saying wait to the world. And in that waiting, she watches, closely, silently. Will you pressure her? Will you get frustrated? Will you pull away when your timeline isn't met? Will your charm sour into entitlement? Or will you remain grounded? This is where Stoicism separates the men from the boys. The man who has studied Stoic lessons knows that patience is not passivity. It's presence without pressure. He doesn't push, he doesn't pout, he doesn't measure his worth by her speed. He stays calm, he stays kind, he stays there. Why? Because the Stoic life teaches one of the most overlooked masculine truths: the man who doesn't rush the moment earns the moment. Real connection is never claimed, it's invited. Her emotional gate is not a wall to be broken through. It's a signal to be respected. Think of it like this: if she delays intimacy, she isn't denying it forever. She's simply asking a deeper question. Can I trust you with this part of me? And she's not going to ask it out loud. She's going to ask it with silence, with hesitation, with every pause and every maybe. What seems like distance is really a question mark. She wants to see if your presence is real, or if it disappears when things aren't convenient. This is not about tricks, not about reverse psychology. This is about her life experience. This is about the cost she pays every time she gives too soon, every time she misreads a man, every time she opens up and gets used, ghosted, or judged. Her caution has history. Her hesitation has weight. And the man who ignores that, who sees gatekeeping as some kind of game, he fails the very test he didn't even know was happening. You must not be that man. You must be better. Be still. Be present. Be curious, not controlling. When she doesn't rush, don't resent her, respect her. When she hesitates, don't panic. Pause with her. When she sets boundaries, don't push, honor them. Because those boundaries aren't keeping you out. They're giving you a path in. And if you fail to see that, you're not ready to walk it. And here's the paradox: the man who doesn't force the moment often ends up with the most authentic version of her. When a woman feels emotionally safe, really safe, the gates open. Not slowly, not grudgingly, fully. When she finally trusts that you're not there to conquer her body, but to connect with her soul. Everything changes. That's when she relaxes. That's when she gives. That's when her hesitation melts. Not because you broke her defenses, but because you earned her trust. And trust is everything. So don't treat sexual gatekeeping like a delay to endure or a puzzle to decode. Understand it as a language. She may not say it out loud, but her behavior speaks volumes. I've been hurt before. Will you be different if you answer that question with impatience? She has her answer. If you answer it with integrity, so do you. This is why Stoic life is more than philosophy. It's practice. Daily, deliberate, disciplined. It's choosing calm over chaos, strength over aggression, curiosity over control. It's knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to simply be present. And that kind of man, he doesn't chase approval. He doesn't demand timeline. He doesn't break down when intimacy doesn't come overnight. He lives the kind of life that women don't just notice, they trust. So the next time you find yourself thinking, why is she holding back? Remember, she's not playing games. She's writing a story, one where the man who makes it to the next chapter does so not with force but with presence. The man who understands Stoicism doesn't just pass the test, he becomes the answer, and that's a man worth waiting for. If this message resonates with you, like the video, share it with a brother who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more grounded wisdom. Let's build a generation of men who understand before they judge. Comment to remember, I lead with patience, not pressure. Drop that in the comments to affirm your growth and show the world what true strength looks like. Number 3, the power of strategic silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is precision. It is a calculation. And in the hands of a woman, it becomes a force more powerful than any argument. A woman's silence is not random. It's not accidental. It's not confusing. It is deliberate. It is data collection. It is a strategy. You may think she's quiet because she doesn't know what to say. But the truth is, she's listening. She's watching. She's observing everything you're not trained to notice. Every pause, every delayed response, every still moment in the middle of conflict. It speaks louder than shouting ever could. You must understand, a modern man who lacks the discipline to remain calm in the face of silence is a man exposed. The moment you rush to explain, to clarify, to apologize, to beg, to argue, you reveal not just insecurity but a lack of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That's not just philosophy. That's instruction. That's a blueprint. And in today's world, men need this now more than ever. Why? Because modern relationships don't crumble from shouting. They collapse under the weight of emotional immaturity. Women don't walk away because of a single disagreement. They walk away when they realize a man cannot handle himself, when she withholds approval, when she does not give him what he's emotionally addicted to: reassurance. You must learn this now. When a woman goes quiet, she is not disappearing, she is decoding. She is reading how you handle ambiguity, how you process tension, how you respond when you're not in control. The Stoic man thrives in this arena. He does not react. He reflects. He does not chase chaos. He grounds himself in order. This is the heart of Stoic principles: remain centered regardless of external circumstances. Hold your frame when the world or a woman is testing your stability. The test is not designed to trap you. It's there to show her whether you are led by impulse or integrity. Too many men today mistake words for leadership. They think the loudest one wins, Dodson. But women know better. They've been trained since childhood to read between the lines, to listen more than speak, to sense the undercurrent beneath what's said. That's why, in silence, they see everything. They watch how your eyes shift when you're uncomfortable. They feel the energy when your tone betrays your fear. They observe how quickly you move to fix the silence, and in that fixing, you tell her exactly what you fear. This is not a punishment. This is a revelation. Let me be brutally honest: if you can't handle a moment of uncertainty without spiraling, without reaching for your phone, without trying to talk it out before she's ready, you are not ready for her. You are not ready for a woman of depth, of emotional intelligence, of feminine strength. And until you are, your relationships will feel like a cycle of validation and rejection. You'll never feel in control because you aren't. This is why men must return to Stoic teachings. This is why Marcus Aurelius is more relevant in 2025 than he was in ancient Rome. Because his wisdom is timeless. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That means when the test comes, when she's distant, when she's silent, when she's cold, you don't argue. You don't complain. You become the man who is not moved. You lead yourself before you ask to lead anyone else. Understand this clearly: silence is not passive. It is the sharpest form of presence. When she doesn't respond to your message right away, when she pauses after you confess something vulnerable, when she becomes quiet in the middle of a disagreement, it is not because she doesn't care. It's because she's watching how you care. Do you over-explain? Do you beg for reassurance? Do you lash out, or do you stay composed, breathe deeply, and trust your own steadiness? This is where boys become men, and where men become stoic. The calmest man in the room is always the most powerful. Not because he says the right thing, but because he doesn't need to say anything at all. His posture speaks. His stillness speaks. His lack of emotional flinching speaks. He does not need to perform. He simply is. You must train yourself to be that man. Not once, not sometimes, always. When silence hits, don't fill it. Let it breathe. Let her have her space. Give her the gift of your non-reactivity, and let her see something rare: a man who can handle the unknown. A man who doesn't crumble when she withdraws affection. A man who does not seek validation to feel worthy. That man, he wins. Quietly. Consistently. Without needing applause. This is the essence of Stoic principles. Self-mastery over emotional chaos. Internal power over external validation. You become the mountain, not the storm. When she pulls back, you don't chase. You hold ground. You don't retreat. You don't break. You let her come to you, because strength always draws curiosity. Comment: stop fearing silence. Start using it. Let it become your training ground. Let it force you into patience, into presence, into power. Let every unanswered text be an opportunity to strengthen your emotional muscle. Let every pause in conversation be a lesson in restraint. And most of all, let her silence be your signal, not to speak louder, but to become stronger. Because in the end, she's not looking for the man who says the right thing. She's searching for the man who is the right thing, even when nothing is said at all. Remember, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. Marcus Aurelius. Let your ambition be mastery of your emotions, of your mind, of your life. That is modern Stoicism. That is strength. That is who you must become. Number 4, the manipulation of male competition. Don't let your instincts run the show without your awareness. Be wise. Be still. The room shifts when she walks in. Yes, that familiar ripple. Not because she begs for it, but because she knows it will happen. She doesn't need to demand attention. Her presence pulls it like gravity. Whether she learned it through trial or inherited it through the rhythms of female intuition. She understands male psychology better than most men understand themselves. This isn't sorcery, it's strategy, and it's often unconscious. But make no mistake, the effect is real. The presence of other men, even subtle, lights a quiet fire in your chest. Your spine straightens and your laugh gets sharper. You lean in, not because you chose to, but because something ancient in you said, "Show her you're the one." And that's the trap. Brother, what you think is romance is often rivalry in disguise. That's the manipulation of male competition. You feel the pull to prove yourself, not because she's yours, but because she isn't yet. And now, you're in the arena. The Blessing of Stoicism teaches you to step back, to see clearly. But most men rush forward instead. The moment you notice other men are watching her, or she casually mentions another admirer, you begin to assign her more worth. Not necessarily because she's earned it, but because competition has tricked you into believing she has. The scarcity principle whispers in your ear, if others want her, she must be rare. If she's rare, you must win. That voice is seductive, and it's a lie. Modern Stoic men don't chase illusions, they ask better questions. You must understand not all women do this with malice. Most don't even realize they're playing a game. But nature taught them early. Attention is currency, and scarcity makes it valuable. So when she leaves little hints, mentions a text, shares a compliment from another man, or simply lets herself be seen in a way that invites admiration, she's not necessarily manipulating you. She's speaking a language older than words. And in that moment, if you're not anchored in the blessing of Stoicism, you'll start measuring yourself against phantoms, men you've never met, conversations you'll never hear, fantasies you imagine in the dark. That's when insecurity dresses itself up as ambition, and you begin working not from desire but desperation. Don't do it. Don't run harder just because another man is watching. Don't reach further because someone else might reach first. That's the path to emotional bankruptcy. It's a fool's economy. True connection doesn't grow in the soil of anxiety. When you're chasing her attention just to outshine another man, you've already lost, not the woman, but yourself. The old Stoic knew this. He knew that power lies not in reaction, but in restraint. He knew that clarity is more precious than conquest. When a modern Stoic sees the dynamic for what it is, he doesn't rage. He doesn't blame me. He smiles, steps back, and decides whether this is even a game worth playing. That's the test, not of love, but of self-respect. Don't let the illusion of competition define your value. Don't lose your compass in pursuit of someone else's map. Be grounded. Be deliberate. Let your desire come from presence, not panic. Because the moment you recognize that your drive is triggered not by her essence, but by her effect on other men, you reclaim something sacred, your own sovereignty. And in that moment, you step out of the game entirely, not because you couldn't win, but because you finally realized you were never supposed to play. If this opens your eyes like the video, share it with a man who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more insights rooted in the blessing of Stoicism. Don't just react, reflect. The modern Stoic doesn't chase out of fear. He chooses with clarity. Comment below to affirm your growth. I choose clarity over competition. Let's fill the comment section with that declaration. A brotherhood of men reclaiming their power, their peace, and their purpose. Number 5. the mysterious art of emotional mirroring. Don't be fooled by the softness of her tone or the warmth in her eyes. There's often more happening beneath the surface than you think. In the subtle realm of emotional interaction, especially between men and women, there exists a quiet and deeply intuitive skill. Emotional mirroring. It's not manipulation, it's not a deception, it's evolution. A woman doesn't always express herself directly, but she listens deeply. She reflects expertly. She matches moods with surgical precision, tuning her emotional rhythm to yours like a well-trained musician following a lead. This is not random. This is emotional intelligence in motion. Fluid, strategic, and far more insightful than most men realize. You speak passionately and she becomes animated. Your voice quickens and so does hers. You're calm and pensive. Suddenly, her tone softened, her words stretch, her energy mirrors yours like glass. And you think, wow, we just clicked. But slow down. That feeling of instant compatibility might not be fate. It might be fluency. Her fluency in reading emotional tones and playing them back with care. That's emotional mirroring in action. It builds a sense of rapport, of comfort. It lowers your guard. It makes you feel seen. And in that safety, you open up more. You say too much. You reveal too soon. All while she's learning you. You must understand this while you're relaxing into the illusion of deep connection. She's collecting information, not in a cold or cynical way, but in a calibrated, evolved way. She's learning how you respond when you feel aligned. Do you lead emotionally or follow? Do you become more of yourself, or do you shift to please her? Do you remain grounded when she moves the energy, or do you chase it unsure? These moments tell her everything she needs to know about your emotional core, your stability, your ego, your wounds, and she doesn't have to ask a single question. That's the brilliance of it. This isn't about deceit, it's about safety. In a world where vulnerability can be risky, emotional mirroring becomes a kind of shield. It says, I understand without promising, I'm invested. It allows her to explore connection while protecting herself from premature attachment. And for the unaware man, this can feel like real chemistry. But don't mistake emotional alignment for emotional commitment. That's a lesson carved from real Stoic life. Just because she reflects your depth doesn't mean she shares it. Just because she listens, engages, adapts, doesn't mean she's all in. That's why Stoic lessons matter more than ever. A modern man must learn to pause, to observe, not just how she responds, but why she does. A Stoic doesn't get swept up in emotional highs. He watches, he measures, he remains still enough to see the truth moving beneath the surface. When she leans in, laugh for laugh. Does she feel you, or is she testing you when her energy shifts? Do you follow blindly on do? Or do you stay rooted in who you are? This is where the Stoic life proves its worth, not in suppressing emotion, but in staying centered while navigating it. A woman fluent in emotional mirroring may create deep connections with many, but she chooses few. Because what she's really doing is searching for consistency, testing for alignment, looking not just for emotional spark, but emotional strength. If you shift too quickly, she notes impulsiveness. If you retreat, she sees fear. But if you stay steady, if your tone remains grounded while hers dances, now you have her attention. Not because you performed, but because you didn't. You stayed still. You stayed you. So don't react too fast. Don't mistake emotional reflection for emotional investment. Learn to spot the subtle dance. And more importantly, decide whether you want to join it or just watch. Because in the Stoic life, clarity is everything. A woman may mirror your emotion, but it's your centeredness she respects, your consistency she trusts. That is the real test, and the reward real connection, not built on illusion, but on truth. Thanks for sticking around until the end. I know today's topic might have been uncomfortable for some, but discomfort isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes, it's just the feeling that comes with seeing things clearly for the first time. Look, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's not about saying women are wrong or men are victims. It's about understanding the emotional and social currents we've all been swimming in, often without realizing it. When you start to recognize patterns like silence, mirroring, emotional tests, or selective intimacy, not as random quirks, but as learned strategies, it gives you something powerful: clarity. And that clarity, it frees you. It frees you from over-explaining yourself, from chasing validation, from trying to fix things that were never yours to fix in the first place. You stop bending yourself into shapes just to feel seen. You stop playing games you didn't even know you were part of. Instead, you begin to hold still. You learn to observe without reacting. You become someone who doesn't lose himself in the emotional noise of a moment, who doesn't jump to earn approval just because someone seems distant or hard to read. And that stillness, that emotional discipline, isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the kind of presence that commands quiet respect, not by force, not by arrogance, but by calm certainty. You don't chase, you don't beg to be chosen. You become someone worth remembering because you never tried to be anything other than who you are. Steady, grounded, clear. So here's my honest advice to you. Don't let confusion be your default. Don't keep trying to decode emotional puzzles hoping for clarity that never comes. Choose clarity over confusion, strength over reaction, self-respect over approval. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to live it. If this message hit home for you, I invite you to share your story in the comments. What have you experienced in your relationships? Have you noticed any of these patterns? How did you respond? You never know. Your insight might be the one that helps someone else finally make sense of their own situation. And if you're serious about growing, emotionally, mentally, relationally, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel. Join the conversation. We'll keep diving into the truth. No fluff, no fake confidence. Just real talk for real growth. Take care of yourself. Stay calm. Stay strong. And remember, you don't have to chase what you can attract just by standing still. See you in the next one.